Hello everyone, welcome you all to today's class. And today's class is about definite integrals. And since quite few days we have been studying indefinite integrals, and I'm sure all of you are very familiar with indefinite integrals. Its various methods like method of substitution, method of partial fraction, and also integration by parts. Okay, now sometimes you may be wondering why are we studying integration. Yeah, what are the applications of this? So one of the applications is finding area of the region bounded by the curve, and of course the conditions will apply. So here you see I have taken y equal to fx. I mean if this curve is y equal to fx and this is a continuous function. So this function is continuous in a closed interval AB. So here it is x equal to a and x equal to b. It means this is a bounded curve. This curve, this area under the curve it is bounded by x equal to a, x equal to b and x axis. Okay, so one of the applications of integral calculus is finding area of the region bounded by the curve, right? And also this, while getting area of the region bounded by the curve, so that the solution to the problem also lies in definite integral, right? So let's see what is the geometrical interpretation of definite integral and how it is linked to getting the area of the region bounded by that curve, right? So definite integral, the notation we use, we write it as notation. So it is fx dx. F is the integrand as we know it, and from a to b. So here y equal to fx is a continuous function in the closed interval ab. So when we write integral of fx dx from a to b, so this is the notation of definite integral. Here a is called lower limit and b is called upper limit. So let me tell you the geometrical interpretation of integral of fx dx limit from a to b. Okay, so look at this diagram. So I have taken this, as I said, the function y equal to fx, ef, this curve represents the function, a graph of the function y equal to fx. Okay, and two boundaries x equal to, eh, this ordinate is x equal to a, fg, it represents x equal to b. Okay, so let's take pxy and r x plus delta x, y plus delta y be 2 points on the curve. So it means when you take pxy, this length is y, right? And this length is x. Similarly, this length, Rn equal to y plus delta y. So in that way, Rs, this is delta y. PQ equal to Rs equal to delta y. Similarly, this length Mn equal to Ps, that is delta x. Okay. And another thing I want to tell you, area of, so if I write EPMH, let area of this region be A, and ERNH, area of this region, let it be A plus delta A. So this I suppose, so this is area, area of this region is A, and this region A plus delta A, ERNH, area is A plus delta A. So if I take this one, if I take PRNM, area of this region is what? Area of ERNH minus area of EPMH. It means area of PRNM equal to delta A. Okay, now let's focus on this area of PRNM. So from the diagram you can say area of PRNM that lies between what? Area of this rectangle PSNM and area of the rectangle QRMN. Yes, QRNM. Okay, so see, because area of PRNM, this is not a regular figure, you can say. So we can find area of the square, rectangle and circle, something like this. But whenever you are given like this, no, PRNM, so because of this curve, because of this shape, so we cannot find the area directly, right? So that's why we are taking area of PRNM is lying between area of this rectangle, this area is greater than equal to this and smaller than equal to this. Now you see, whenever you take area of PRNM, that is, so this implies this is your delta A, right? Now you see area of PSNM. So PSNM is a rectangle and this is y, length y, width delta x. So area of the rectangle is length into breadth. Now area of QRNM. So this area, so length is what? Length is y plus delta y, right? So it is y plus delta y, width equal to delta x. Okay, so I'm sure it is clear to you. Now dividing throughout by delta x, you can have y less than equal to delta A by delta x. This is less than equal to y plus delta y. Okay, we divide throughout by delta x. Now taking limit delta x equal to 0, taking limit delta x approaches to 0. So when delta x is very small, so if delta x very small, obviously delta y will be very small. So it means if delta x is smaller and smaller, so delta y will be smaller. So here delta x approaches to 0 implies delta y also very small. So in that situation, what will happen? Taking delta x approaches to 0, so you can have y less than equal to limit delta x approaches to 0, delta A by delta x. This is less than equal to y because delta y is very small. So when delta x is smaller and smaller, this length will be decreasing and obviously your delta y will also decrease, right? So basically, yeah. So now limit delta x approaches to 0, delta A by delta x is dA by dx, right? So dA by dx, so y less than equal to dA by dx less than equal to y. So by sandwich theorem, you can say dA by dx equal to y. Okay, so derivative of area function with respect to x equal to y. Okay, so let's see what will be A then. So here you see, whenever we are getting dA by dx equal to y, it means fx. So dA equal to y delta x means dA equal to fx dx, right? Because y equal to fx. So integral of fx dx from limit a to b equal to integral of dA limit from a to b. So this can be written as a to b, integral of fx from lower limit a to upper limit b equal to area of the region bounded by the curve. So it is area function, area from A to B, right? So it means what we can conclude here. So area of the region, area of the curve, the area of the region bounded by the curve, bounded by the curve from A to B equal to definite integral of the function from A to B. Okay, area of the region bounded by the curve from A to B. So it means here, coming back to the diagram, see, so area of the region bounded by EF, okay, from A to B. So that is equal to integral of fx from A to B. Okay, so that is basically geometrical interpretation of definite integrals, and which also it is one of the applications of area of the region bounded by the curve. It means when you will study area of the region bounded by the curve, I mean application of integral calculus in next topic, chapter 8. So it will help you also. Okay, so you don't have to again, wonder, how come it is happening. So it is basically one of the applications of integral calculus also. So area of the region bounded by the curve from A to B equal to definite integral of the function representing that curve from A to B. Clear? So after looking at the geometrical representation of a geometrical meaning of definite integral, so definite integral of the function from A to B equal to area of the region bounded by the curve from A to B. Okay, so after that, so now we are in a position to state two fundamental theorems of integral calculus. Okay, and of course, so we don't have, till 12th standard, we don't have to study proof of this theorem. Okay, so without proof, we can study the statements. So it is for the time being. So in higher classes, after 12th standard, you can study this. But since we are focusing on CBSE syllabus, so in CBSE syllabus, 12th standard, we don't have the proof of this theorem. Okay, but yeah. So we have the first fundamental theorem of integral calculus is, the statement goes like this. So let fx be a continuous function in the closed interval AB and ax, area of the function, area function equal to definite integral of this, fx dx, limit from A to B. So yeah, so a dash x, d by dx of ax. Okay, so you can say dA by dx, that is equal to a dash x is equal to d by dx of fx dx from A to B, right? So that is equal to f. So this already we have covered in the proof of geometrical meaning of definite integral, right? So proof, though it is not in the syllabus, that we know. A to B, area of the function equal to the definite integral. So derivative of this will be derivative of this. So that is equal to f. Clear? Second fundamental theorem of integral calculus states that let fx be a continuous function in closed interval AB and fx be an antiderivative of fx. It means this fx is integral of fx. So integral here indefinite integral for the time being. Okay, this is an antiderivative of fx. Then if it is indefinite integral, because you have studied antiderivative as integral, here we mean indefinite integral. Then integral of fx dx from A to B, that is equal to fb minus fa. Okay, so fb minus fa. It means if it is antiderivative, And whenever you take definite integral, value of the integral at upper limit minus the value of the integral at lower limit. For example, I will take a small example here. Suppose you have cos x dx 0 to pi by 2, upper limit pi by 2, lower limit 0. Now, as we know, integral of cos x is sin x. So, we can write here sin x from 0 to pi by 2, sin pi by 2 minus sin 0, 1 minus 0, that is equal to 1. Okay, here one thing you can observe, we do not take constant of integration. In case of definite integral, we do not consider constant of integration. So after studying two fundamental theorems of integral calculus, so let's wind up the class with some summarization. Yeah. So first thing you can see, whenever you take definite integrals, the integral of fx dx from a to b. So basically, geometrically speaking, definite integral is area of this represents area of the region bounded by fx, area of the region bounded by the curve x-axis and the ordinates x equal to a, x equal to b. Okay, it means the ordinates x equal to a, x equal to b, x-axis and the curve. Okay, so this represents area of the region bounded by the curve x-axis, then the ordinates x equal to a, x equal to b. Okay, second one is whenever you find fx dx, the value is this is unique value. This has unique value. Okay, because unlike your indefinite integral you have constant of integration. So because of the presence of constant of integration, you get various values. Yeah, that's why we call it indefinite integral. But here the value is fixed. The value is unique. Any method, whichever method you may follow, you will be getting only one answer for one question with fixed limits, right? So it has unique value. So this is why, because see, if you have fx dx, for example, it is fx plus c. You have taken like this. Now whenever you write here a to b fx dx, it means value of this at upper limit fb plus c minus its value at lower limit. Again here it is fa plus c. So it means ultimately you are getting what? fb minus fa. Okay. Now so no need to write down constant of integration. So we do not write constant of integration in case of definite integral, and its value is unique. Okay. And also, yeah. Okay, so basically these are the things, so you can keep in the mind while solving the questions. So third thing is, here regarding methods of integration, whichever methods we already have studied in indefinite integrals, all the methods will be applicable here. Okay, so it means we don't have any specific, any other methods. So we can use integration by parts if we have to integrate the functions of the type fx into gx. Similarly, we can use integration by substitution, and also we can use integration by partial fraction methods. So if you are very thorough with indefinite integrals, so definite integral is not a problem at all. Okay, and only new thing you will be studying in this definite integral chapter is properties of definite integrals. That is the new thing for you. Otherwise, everything you already have studied, and once you find indefinite integral, so then you can you can find definite integral by taking like this FB minus FA. And one more thing also you can note down. Suppose for example, I write here 2x dx, it is from 0 to 1 for example. Okay, so if I write here 1 plus x square. Okay, a simple integral I am taking just to show you how it works. Now as we know, so if we put x equal to, suppose I put 1 plus x square equal to t. Okay, so it means I am changing the variables. 2x dx equal to dt. So here, whenever we write 2x dx by 1 plus x square, so this upper limit and lower limit, it means here x belongs to what? The closed interval 0, 1. Now I am changing the variable x to t. So it means the limit has to change. Okay, so it means 2x dx. So here we have to change like this when x equal to 0. T equal to what? T equal to 1 plus x square. If x 0, t will be 1 plus 0, means t equal to 1. When x equal to 1, this implies t equal to what? When x 1, t will be 2. Now next step, when you write here 2x dx dt by t, now the limit has limits to be changed 1 to 2. Okay, and you know dt by t integral is log t, value from 1 to 2, so log 2 minus log 1. Log 2 is, as it is you write down here, log 1 0. So your answer is log 2. So whenever you use method of substitution, the way you solve indefinite integrals, you can do like this. Only thing will be limits to be changed. Okay, so in next class we will be taking some questions. Okay, so till that time just I wanted to introduce the topic today. So we have introduced the topic, and in next class we will be coming with some questions. Thank you so much.